Hi, sports fans. Ben's Hang-Ups here. Well, we're going to do a little something different today. We're not taking a road trip. We're going to do a tour. I've had a lot of people request that I do a tour of South Bend. A lot of my out-of-town friends, Florida friends, have made the request, and so I want to honor that. And I thought, well, I'd do a quick tour of South Bend. Well, you can't do just a quick tour of South Bend. So this may be just a little bit longer than the normal video. Not too much. I've cut a lot of things out. But I did have a lot of people make that request. Well, okay, maybe some people made that request. And okay, one person requested it. Well, I'm going to do it since one person requested it. And we're going to tour South Bend. So, as per usual, pull the belts tight. Here we go. Well, our first stop on our tour is about a quarter of a mile from my house, and this is the famous Dale's Service Center, located on Bendix Drive. Yes, this is a fine establishment. Spent many an hour here. Spent many a dollar here too, by the way. But this is a famous place, Dale's Service Center. Right down the road we have the South Bend International Airport. Now this used to be a regional airport, but now it's international. They get a flight, I'm not sure where it comes from, but makes it an international airport. It is fairly new and one of the really easiest ones to get around. And right outside of the airport, we have our military museum. History and Military Park. This is part of the honorary park here. It's a small museum inside, but there's quite a lot to see on the grounds. As a past collector in tanks, I will tell you this is one of my favorites. This is the Patton. Used mostly in the Korean War, it came out at the end of World War II. Too late to do a lot of damage, but this would have been the best tank on the battlefield in World War II had it come out a little earlier. This is the Bendix Corporation. It's Honeywell now, but in its heyday, Bendix, huge plant, I think the third largest employer in the area. It made brakes for aircraft, trucks, and they came out with the hydraulic brake systems and the air brake systems at the time. Very big business. This is the Oliver Mansion, Oliver Plows. And I've taken a tour of this at one time, and it's absolutely gorgeous inside. If you go to the History Museum and the Studebaker Museum, that I'm going to, and here's the History Museum and the Studebaker Museum. If you buy a ticket for the two of them, it's only $10. But with that, you get a guided tour of the Oliver Mansion, and they run about 2 to 3 tours a day. So it's a heck of a deal. For $10, you get to see 2 museums and the Oliver Mansion. This is the theater inside, nothing showing at the time. And this section here shows some of the contributions made during the war, World War II, in the area. And engines were a big part of it, B-17s. A Studebaker car. Uniroyal, which was at the time was called Ball Band, and they made a lot of rubber products, shoes, boots, and some clothing. Studebaker made wagons to start with before they went into cars. They made wagons. Now, I don't know if they made that one or not, and I know they didn't make that horse. But here's some of the wagons they've made. This is a hearse. That brought a whole new industry to the area, wagon wheels and other parts for the wagons that were made right here in South Bend. I actually worked in a building, in a house, that the owner was the builder of wagon wheels. And it was actually a mansion. These are buggies produced by Studebaker for the presidents. Lincoln, Grant, McKinley, a number of the presidents sported buggies made by Studebaker. Long before Ford, GMC. It's McKinley's buggy. Now, I never actually owned one of these cars. Some beautiful cars, huh? And I never owned one of these either. Never drove one. Now, this is a golden Hawk, Studebaker Hawk. I did not own one of these. I did, however, own a Silver Hawk, which is the one next to it. Way ahead of its time in its design. Oh, this Studebaker truck. I did own one of these for about a year. Loved that little truck. However, didn't love the brakes because there weren't any. Now we move on down the road, and this is the Oliver Inn. And you can still stay here. I've never been in there. Next door is the Studebaker estate. And this was turned into a restaurant a number of years ago, quite a few years ago, called the Tippecanoe Place. A fine place to eat. But I've taken a tour here about 30 years ago, 35 years ago, before it became a restaurant. And wow, what a place this was. Now it still is, really. Today, it was bought just recently by a brewing company, and I think it's called South Bend Brewing Company that owns this now. So it's still a restaurant and a brew house. I know they have entertainment now. So right down the road from that, just a couple of blocks, is a great, famous Central High School. It's no longer a high school, of course. It's located right downtown, but a lot of great people graduated here. There's a street running right next to it. It's called the John Wooden Street because John Wooden, the great basketball coach, coached here and won a state championship. The building off to the left there is a vocational center, also a part of Central High School. A couple buildings are missing that have been removed. This is now a apartment building. This empty lot was originally a high school before they built this new one. And there was you went through that door right there between the two buildings, or there was a ramp connecting on the third floor, connecting the buildings. Quite a place. Great people graduated there. This is the old courthouse. At one time was a history museum. Not sure what it houses now. And if we go right around the block, we're gonna see on the left there, today's courthouse. Now, this tall building right behind it, more modern building, the county city building it's called. A lot of the courts are held there now too, but the court is still held here in the courthouse. A couple blocks away, it's a Friday afternoon, and on Friday afternoon, outside the Palace Theater and the Fountain, there's a concert. You can see people come eat their lunch here, come to visit, take in the concerts. Not quite as many people here today. And right around the corner from that is a convocation or our convention center, and it is connected to the DoubleTree Hotel. And right across the street is the Courtyard by Marriott. So there's enough hotels now in the area to take care of conventions. The reason I'm showing you this library is because of the new construction. This library now takes up 3/4 of the city block. It's going to be huge. We're remodeling the old section down there. It's closed at this time. I call it the Great Homeless Shelter. And right where I'm parked, across from the courthouse, is the statues. You know who that is? Well, it's Father Ted, Theodore Roosevelt. Yes, Hesburgh, Ted Hesburgh, and Martin Luther King. Right down the street from that, a couple blocks, this is the Masonic Temple building. And what next to it there was also a Masonic Temple building. It was part of the same complex. Since they've sold it to the Civic Center for the Civic Theater. And I've toured that. I didn't tour it. I went there for an inspection one time and inspected those buildings. They're absolutely gorgeous. Now on the north side of that, and what you see here, everything you see there, this is all the Memorial Hospital, I call it campus, because it's spread out over several city blocks. Everything you see here is part of that campus. That's still all part of Memorial Hospital. Go a little further north, University of Notre Dame there on the right, entranceway, one of the entranceways. But we're going to go down the road here, across from Notre Dame, Indiana it's called, and we're going to stop by St. Mary's College. Now this university is a university for women, and when they're all back in school, this is a beautiful drive for several reasons. Yes, it's landscaped beautifully, but of course you have the young ladies everywhere, which makes it even better. Today it's just a beautiful campus. They aren't here yet. There's a few, but not many. When Notre Dame was a all-male campus, St. Mary's was an all-female campus. There was a lot of traffic between the two. Still is quite a bit, but now Notre Dame, of course, is co-ed. But St. Mary's is still a women's college. Okay, we're going to leave St. Mary's here, and we're going to go down a couple of blocks, a couple more blocks, and this is the uh, Brothers of the Holy Cross. This at one time was a junior college. I believe now it's the college. I think it's still a junior college, but you might get an education a little beyond just a junior college. Small campus, very nice, neat, clean, very compact. Now we're going to head further. That's all Notre Dame off to the left. That's all Notre Dame. This whole area is Notre Dame, Indiana. There's that entrance. So here's Notre Dame, the campus. Everything you see here is Notre Dame. I've been to a lot of campuses across the country. This is the most beautiful campus I've seen so far. And I understand there are other beautiful campuses in the United States, different schools. I just haven't seen them yet. This one is absolutely gorgeous. The further you go back into the campus, the older section, the more it just gets beautiful. This part is all new. That to the left is a new hockey arena. Everything to the right is baseball, softball, and track. All fairly new facilities, all of them. The big building back on the right is the indoor practice stadium. On the left, the domes that you see there, the ACC basketball plays there, the Pauley Pavilion. And a lot of that in front, all those are new buildings. Needless to say, to the left there's the Compton. That's the hockey, the new hockey arena. Fairly new. There's all those baseball track facilities, and there's that big indoor practice facility. The Pauley Pavilion right there, and there is the stadium. And that's called the Cross Streets Project. They have built these buildings all around this stadium, all except the north side, where you can see Touchdown Jesus. These buildings contain offices. They contain meeting rooms, classrooms, a lot of classrooms. There are like 16 places to eat in there. That's huge, just absolutely huge. And these are some stills I took a number of years ago of the campus a little further in, which we're not going to go to on this tour. That's the grotto. Then we go across the town a little ways and we get to this Indiana University at South Bend. This has really grown over the years. Started out as a real small extension, and now it's a pretty good size university extension. This bridge here crosses from Indiana University over to the riverside. There are some buildings over there, educational buildings. This here on the right is all of Farmers Market. It's right down the street from Indiana University. Very busy on the weekends. Then we go a little further into town, and we're out of town here, and we get to Bethel College. This is a university now. A couple of years ago, it was made a university, Bethel University. It is a religious school. Dedicated mostly, I believe, to missionaries. My pastor works here part-time. That would be the great Ron Drake, pastor of Forest Brook Missionary Church. It's down at the end of the campus where a lot of the sports facilities are located. Now we go a little further, and we're at Potawatomi Zoo. This is the zoo, South Bend Zoo. It's Potawatomi Zoo. The park is Potawatomi Park on the left, zoo on the right. We're not going to go into the zoo. We don't have time for that, but we're going to drive around it. As a matter of fact, let's just follow the train. So you go to the zoo for a small fee. You can board the train, which will take you all the way around the zoo, which is kind of cool. All right, back down to town, right downtown South Bend. This is Howard Park. This was South Bend's ice skating rink. Been totally rebuilt, redesigned. It still houses an ice skating rink, but it now is a park more dedicated to family, kids, and so forth. Very nice. It's a small park, but very entertaining. A lot of small things there that the kids can do, ride on, and so forth. And as you can see, it's located on the east side of the river. This is an east race. This was designed as a professional kayak obstacle course. Professionally, a lot of kayak races are held here. During the week and on weekends when there's no races, it's open to the public, and you can rent one of these inflatable kayaks or a raft and go down. Now they lower the levels so it's not as high or as fast as when the professionals go down. And as you'll see, it still causes some problems for amateurs.
Oh, they're changing sides.
Go ahead. Hold on. Come on, are you ready?
You just made the comedy reel.
Come here.
No! Stop! Don't cheat!
Where are we going to yell at it?
Even with the lower levels and less water speed, it can still be a little challenging, as you see. Now when the levels are up and the water is really flowing, those obstacles are just normally under or just sticking up a little bit. This used to be a park, and I'm not sure exactly what South Bend's doing with this now, but they're rebuilding it. So that takes you on a quick tour, very quick tour of South Bend. Hope you've enjoyed it. Enjoyed having you along. You guys have a great life. Thank you. Hey, if you liked the video, hit the like button. If you didn't like it, hit the like button anyway. And you can subscribe. Thank you.